Episode 102. Spinny. We're back together again already, man?
I know. Busted.
We usually take like 30 episode hiatuses here.
No, just one. Just a nice little one episode hiatus. It's nice to be back. Welcoming the Hardys and Hardos here to episode
102. And guess what? I actually have a name for episode 102.
George Sletta's going to be happy.
None of y'all will have heard of this man's, but you get no one. Sean Conway, episode 102 is who we're naming this after. Spinny, this man did 102 triathlons in a row for 102 straight days. You guys heard that right. He was 43 years old when he did this. I don't know how the hell he did this. Swam 2.4 miles, cycled 112 miles, and ran a marathon every single day from April 10th to July 20th last year. That is insane.
What?
102
days in a row of marathons? Or of triathlons?
Triathlons even.
Triathlons.
Insane. Like, I don't even know. So this is the Sean Conway episode, the ultra triathloner. This is ridiculous. That's like, I couldn't even do one marathon, let alone 102 straight days of a marathon, insane. Plus biking 100 miles every day. Like,
we're getting creative here on Hardhead Sports. And on that note, let's hear from our man, Jack.
we got to start the Sean Conway, episode 102, out with some headlines. Let's start with the Jared Goff extension. Spinning. This man was paid $212 million over 4 years, 170 guaranteed in terms of annual average value. That puts him as the second highest paid quarterback of all time. I'm just going to go out and say it, man. He is not worth that much money.
No,
sorry.
I mean, I get what the Lions are doing.
Right.
They have the setup for it, and they did for Jared Goff what we wouldn't do for Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's an age difference, right? I mean, is Jared Goff 30 to 32, I'm guessing, Jared Goff. So it puts him pretty much in the last prime guaranteed years for a quarterback.
29 only.
29, exactly. So only have him until he's 33, and then I think there's probably not a re-sign at that point unless he's proved something different than we've seen. But for the Lions, with all the weapons and the good defense and the role they've been on, I think
the good old line, too. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they definitely have to keep it going. It's just crazy to think that this man was like almost, I don't know if out of the league is the right phrase, but essentially he was almost out of the league, and now he's getting $200 million.
And that was ridiculous. And that was with Sean McVay.
Right, that was with
McVay.
It's
not like it's with some bum, Freddie Kitchens style guy.
Freddie Kitchens.
But, Sean McVay. And
what? I forgot that dude existed.
Oh, Freddie Kitchens, the NFL head coach, the only Browns.
Whatever.
Thing ever.
Whatever, Jared Goff. I'm not going to root for you since you're a division opponent.
Yeah.
But shout out to you. Get your bread.
Nice comeback story, too.
Yeah, it is. For real.
The Stafford-Goff trade was really a win-win.
Isn't that insane?
Insane.
We were reaming it.
Roasting the Lions.
Yeah.
Roasting them.
Well,
the Rams got a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you really classify as a win on the Lions on that? Just, still solid quarterback play? Is just simply a win for them?
Shit.
Oh, and I got first out of it, too. It wasn't like they just, Yeah, that's true.
And, I mean, Dan Campbell hit, but also Jared Goff's play has been pretty good.
No, he's been good.
So, he's been in that 8 to 13 range of quarterbacks. So I don't think Stafford would have produced more than that for the Lions.
That's fair.
Given everything that had happened.
And it just proves that in the NFL, you just need good line play.
Yeah.
And any quarterback can
be
especially
successful. Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins.
Accurate throwers.
Those type of guy. Well, and guys who look like baby deer in the pocket. Baby deer guys.
Yeah.
If you have the baby deer guys on your team, an O-line really, really helps.
Yeah, for sure. NBA draft lottery. This happened on a Sunday. I don't know why the hell it was on a Sunday. No one obviously cares about this lottery, given how bad this draft is projected to be. Some notes from it. The Hawks somehow got the first pick. They only had 3% chance odds of getting it. This is the 5th lowest. I thought that was a little surprising. I was expecting it to be the lowest or second lowest. It's only the 5th lowest in terms of percentage. Pistons, once again, get screwed over. Get the 5th pick.
Big talk.
For the 3rd year in a row. 5th pick, 3rd year in a row for the Pistons. I feel so bad for them. Are they ever going to get out of this area of the draft? I doubt it. And the last little tidbit here, Nets have given away a top 3 pick for the 3rd time since 2016. Classic Nets fashion right there. A team that refused to tank at the deadline, they lost their pick as a result. Tough for them.
At least their top 3 pick this year is
right. It's not going to be,
but I kind of hope it's somebody good just to rub it in the Nets' face.
Yeah. Well, what Spinny was kind of hinting at is if you guys haven't heard, Ryan Russillo on Bill Simmons' podcast, he had talked to some front office executives across the league. He didn't name names, didn't say teams, anything, obviously. Some execs were saying having the first pick this year is like having the 7th or 8th pick in regular drafts. He asked another exec, what kind of player can you get with the first pick? And the guy said maybe the 4th or 5th starter on a decent team.
Yeah.
And so Simmons threw out there, so Derek White. And he's like, that gets shut down immediately. Derek White gets shut down for the first pick, apparently. Another one, he went as far as saying it's essentially like Tobias Harris being the first pick. This is just wild news. As we know, it'll end up being a better draft than what they're saying here. But still, that is... Tobias Harris is your first pick?
What do you think the Spurs could have got for the first pick last year? Anything.
Anything.
An unworldly, like, for sure an all-star, right? For sure, like, a multi-time
all-star plus some.
Yeah. Like, you think the Cavs is a bad example because of their team, but, like, Franz and multiple picks from the Magic, like... I think there could have been a lot. But it's just crazy how different draft to draft is. And this has been, we're looking like a Anthony Bennett 2.0 here, I think.
Anthony Bennett. That is a terrible draft. Today, Spinny, last headline, Scottie Scheffler arrested on his way to the 2nd round of the PGA Championship. Crazy news here. Arrested for 2nd-degree assault of a police officer, which is a felony, and then also had 3 misdemeanors on there. From what all the stories are saying is that it's likely going to get dropped because it was just a clear misunderstanding. He was dealing with an officer that was new to the scene due to an accident that had happened. A pedestrian was actually tragically struck and killed. Yeah. So there was more cops, taking care of the traffic and everything, and he did what he was supposed to do. He showed him his credentials. He's in a PJ marked car, so he thought he was good to go. The cop was trying to stop him, hopped on his car, fell off the car after he drove like 20 yards. Whole big thing, got arrested. An hour after he's released from jail, goes and golfs 5 under, and now sits 3rd in the PGA Championship. What are we talking about here? This is just a wild story.
One of the most wild stories I've heard. Shout out my guy, Tom Bruggers, CRHS High School, for talking the tee with me today. Head golf coach there, so we were just, he was just locked in on the PGA Championship, right? And so we were just going nuts, like back and forth with the breaking news on it. But yeah, absolutely insane story. Best golfer in the world right now, I think. I think that's fair to say. Drags cop on police car. Or on his own car, falls off, gets arrested, goes to jail, gets out within the hour, gets back, golfs an unbelievable day. We were all like, there's no way this man golfs good today. I don't know how you get focused after all just that locked in. Last thing I want to say, RIP to the victim of it sounds like a pedestrian was struck by a car, so RIP
a bus.
To that guy. Or a bus.
Even, yeah. Yeah, for real. RIP to him. He'll be obviously lost within this chaotic story, so definitely RIP to him. Now we are going to do an MLB mailbag. We haven't talked MLB since our preview, so let's just get right after it. Of course, my dad's got to start it off. He just simply wants to know some of the biggest surprises to us so far this season, both in terms of players and teams. Kind of piggyback question off of that. Good friend Chase Richter asked biggest disappointments so far. So, just looking at the standings, I'm going to go out and say it right now. Surprise. I'm a little surprised that the Brewers are this good right now, 26-17. I knew that division would be very even throughout this whole year, but I didn't expect them to have almost 3-game lead already at this point. They've exceeded my expectations in that regard. And even the Dodgers, they have a 7-game lead. Yes, I knew they were going to be this good, but more in regards to how much they're dominating already. They have a 7-game lead in their division already. That was a surprise to me.
I like that. I like that one. Let's see what surprises we got. Texas or Houston taking a step back. 19-25. Are we seeing it? Are we seeing the
fall?
Final fall?
Is it here?
I don't know.
Is it here?
Valdez missed some time. He was obviously back, absolutely bald a couple nights ago. So I never am counting them out. They're only 5 games back of Seattle and 3.5 of Texas. So there's always a comeback available for them, but definitely not a good start so far for Houston.
Man, that was my biggest disappointment there for sure. 19-25. Like, what are we talking about? Houston Astros, another surprise. I hate to shout them out, but the Royals did not think they'd be this good. Obviously, ton of season left, so they could fall off eventually here, but that was a surprise for sure. We're kind of jumping around here, but another disappointment. I'm going to go player route. Jackson Holliday was called up, number 1 prospect in the MLB, and in 30 at-bats got like 1 hit and got sent back down to the majors like 2-3 weeks ago now already. So he was a huge disappointment. I have him on my fantasy team. I held on to his ass this whole year. I'm like, yes, number 1 prospect. This is going to be awesome. Gets called up. Absolute garbage. I mean, his stat line is he's got a .059 batting average right now in his limited MLB appearances. So big disappointment, Jackson Holliday, for sure.
I'm going to do surprise, even though this was really only a surprise for Bus.
For me?
If you watch the MLB preview, I so eloquently, holy shit, I can't even pronounce the word, making me look like a damn fool. But I did predict this. My guy, Gunnar Henderson from the MLB preview, balling. 260
Give me a stat line,
average, 30 runs scored, 12 home runs, 27 RBIs, and 6 stolen bases on the season for Gunnar Henderson. Been great in the field as well. The Orioles have been good, like we obviously expected, but it was kind of unknown how much these young guys were going to step up and who was going to be the one. Was it Rushman? Was it Henderson? Who was it? And I think Rushman's been playing well as well, obviously, but great start and performance for Gunnar Henderson.
Some people obviously assume there would even be potentially a sophomore regression there too with some of their stars. So the fact that he is actually taking another step forward is definitely great to see. Huge surprise here. This actually might be my biggest surprise in terms of players, at least. William Contreras. Yes, I said William, not Wilson, his younger brother. Holy shit, Spinny. This man is on a tear for the Brewers, helping them to first place so far in the
William Contreras is on a tear right now?
William Contreras. Spinny, what do you think his batting average is right now?
Man, if you're saying on a tear, I'm going to go like 250.
250?
Yeah.
That's on a tear?
For him?
Try 100 points higher.
350?
359 is his batting average currently today. 359, 39 runs scored, which is an insane amount of runs scored for a catcher. 6 home runs, 34 RBIs. Absurd start to this season for William Contreras. A lot of you might even have known Wilson had a younger brother, but get knowing because this dude looks like he actually might be better than his older brother.
That's insane.
That's insane.
A little bit of a surprise. Next surprise for me is an older pitcher, Mr. John Gray of the Texas Rangers.
John Gray?
John Gray's stat line currently 2-1, 52 Ks, an ERA of 2.08 with a 1.17 WHIP so far. Last 4 starts for him: 6.1 no earned, 4 hits, 6 1 earned, 8 hits, 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned, 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned.
John Gray.
John Gray, last 4 starts. Crazy production on the season from him for a Texas Rangers team that has been right in the division race with Seattle.
Sorry, I have the standings back up. I need to shout out William one more time. He is currently .001. That's right, 100th of a point behind Shohei Ohtani for MLB leader in batting average. So he's second in batting average and tied for fifth in RBIs. William Contreras. Ridiculous start. Let's jump to the next question. What does or should the MLB do to increase viewership? This is from Dan Tim. I just want to note last year's World Series was a record low in terms of viewership. All time lowest. Spinny, I'm going to be honest, man. I don't know if there's anything they can do.
I don't know either. I mean, there's a reason I'm not the guy in charge of this, but I thought that the pitch clock rule was awesome.
Yes.
And I think that has helped, but I also think that's been a lot of increasing attendance, because
right.
people are more likely to actually go to games when it's not 4 hours you got to spend there. But as far as increasing like TV viewership and stuff, I think it's hard. I think you got to get really creative, like letting guys super celebrate, or I don't know. You kind of got to go outside the box because the product is just not as fun to watch.
The old heads in baseball, man, they don't like that though.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
But the product is not as fun to watch.
Let the boys play.
The product is not as fun to watch for anyone under 40 as the NFL for sure. Easily, and the NBA too, in my opinion. Right. And a lot of people, especially in the northern states, would say the NHL. All more action-packed sports, all much more like current action happening all the time. Baseball is a slower sport, and I think that hurts it in current modern-day viewership.
I mean, I'll be honest. I hate watching baseball on the TV. It's terrible. It's so slow, like you said, and you just don't get the vibes that you do from watching football, basketball, all these faster paced games. That's why I don't know if there's any fix, because this is just the nature of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, baseball for me is a common TV2 situation.
That's what I'm saying.
Then,
like I'll tune into the postseason a lot more, but in terms of regular season, like you'll never catch me watching a game that's not the Twins for the most part. I watch the box scores all the time, but I'm a box score watcher for MLB. I will admit it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm a TV2 MLB guy. So
TV2.
Yep.
So I don't know, Dan. Sorry, I don't think we have any answers for how to increase viewership. His second question: why doesn't the MLB have a salary cap, and would it hurt or help? Why it doesn't have a salary cap? The MLB Players Association actually rejected the salary cap. They feel more comfortable letting the market trends and player performance dictate salary structure, which is fair, right? But then you lead to this situation where all the big market teams can spend all the money that they have on any single player they want. At this point, there will never be a salary cap instituted. It just would be, you would literally have to reset almost every single team, because how are you going to put a salary cap in when teams like the Yankees would already be instantly way over it? So there will never be a salary cap put in, especially if the MLB PA are the guys rejecting the idea of a salary cap. And personally, I think it would help. I think it would improve parity across the MLB. But some would argue that there is more parity because any team can theoretically spend any money they want, right?
I don't think that's true, because I don't think teams make the same amount of money.
Correct.
So
exactly.
It's tough. Instilling a salary cap would be hard. It would have to be like brought down from numbers by year, and there would have to be exceptions like grandfathered in if you already have a contract, but then you can't sign more players to new contracts. I don't know. There would be a way to do it, but I understand the players probably will end up making more money. And for that reason, they don't want it. Get it. For parity, for competition, it'd be awesome. Now, does competition drive ratings? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think big heroes, big villains drive ratings a lot of times.
Really,
storylines.
Right.
Crazy performances. So I don't know if parity, tying back into Dan's question, again, this is something that could be thrown around for viewership as well, but I just don't know if it really works.
Right. I think I'm with you. Next question, actually, from Aaron Boisman's good friend. Colin Van, the Rangers super fan. Apparently, he's a Rangers super fan.
All right.
So shout out to him. He gave us a question. Will Jack Leiter ever be good? Man, I'm sorry, Colin. This guy was supposed to be your ace. He was supposed to be your ace. This guy was the next up, right? I have some very, very bad stats for you, Colin. I'm sorry. This man, through his first 3 starts, Spinny, 0-1 with a 16.39 ERA and a 2.571 whip. Yes, you heard me correctly. That puts him third worst ERA through 3 career starts in MLB history. Not good company to be in. Now, with all that being said, he is only 24 years old. I think some more work in the minors would help him out a lot. I think there is still chance for Jack Leiter to be good. This dude had nasty stuff in college. I don't get how he wouldn't translate, right? He needs to work on his control a little more, but I still have some faith with him, but that is definitely a company you don't want to be in.
Wow, that's crazy. Thanks for the question.
Like, I'm just... Here we go. He, these guys, the one that had a worse ERA than him only pitched like 25 innings in his whole career. And the other guy only pitched like 5 years total. So, again, not good company to be in. His other question, he gave us 2 questions. What's with the steep divide between the majors and AAA? I think that's just simply because there's so many damn players on MLB rosters. If you count AA, high, single A, AAA, there's so many minor league systems, right? Think about how many players that they're playing against that will never be good enough to play in the MLB. It's just that simple. You're not playing against the best of the best like you are when you get into the MLB. So, of course, there's going to be a steep divide, and only the truly elite players will be able to step in the MLB and still dominate.
And I truly believe this is true. I think the depth in baseball is not nearly at the level that it was 30 to 40 years ago.
Right.
And I think the reason is there isn't nearly as many high schoolers
just kind of, it all ties back in with the viewership and just the popularity of the sport. Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me, like, Pat Mahomes would probably be an amazing baseball player. His dad, was a pitcher, grew up doing, like, it's like, there are guys like that just aren't going to pick baseball because it's not where stuff is. But for that reason, I think is a little bit as well. And like you said, there's a lot of those, 31 to 35-year-old guys that are never going to play in the MLB but are just riding out the end of their career.
Yeah.
That are playing in the minors, So you have to have a spot for those guys probably because they're better than, the young guys on a pure bat-for-bat basis. But I don't think that sorry, not better than the top younger guys, but better than like lower-level younger guys on a bat-for-bat basis. So it's hard, and the depth just isn't there within the young players.
Yeah, for sure. Our next question. From Brendan, classic MLB guest for us. Are the Astros dead?
I don't know, Bus. What do you think?
Hell no, they're not dead. We're not even to June. This team is too talented, too deep. And when I say talented, everywhere. Bullpen, starting staff, the batting order. Everything is talented with this team. Their experience, their championship experience, right? They're going to... This is just a classic lull to me of the MLB season.
Yeah, I mean, only 6 games under 500. Only 5 games back of the leaders in their division. And Bregman's been terrible. 228, 4 homers, 19 RBIs. Framber had that stint on the IL. Plus has been up and down.
Yep. Verlander, same with him.
So I
think
think
bullpen hasn't been good.
Yep.
It's supposed to be elite.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker and
Kyle Tucker's been balling. Don't get me wrong.
Tucker's been balling.
Altuve's been doing well. Jordan's kind of doing his thing, slowly getting there. But that's been about it for them so far. Jose Abreu has been almost unplayable.
Yeah.
A lot of this I just think will change as the season goes on, right?
And they're not that far out yet.
Yeah.
It's 162,
right.
We're talking about. So, and it's the Astros, like, they have earned the benefit of the doubt.
That's what I'm saying.
They've earned it.
Exactly.
They
it's not
absolutely.
We're not talking about the Twins here or like any other team along those lines. We're talking about the Astros, a team that, in essence, is in the middle of a dynasty right now.
Yeah, basically.
So
yeah.
They're not
up to those cheaters.
But now, let's kind of bring it back and pretend they are dead. So, Dylan Wursel asks, if the Astros are below 500 in July when the trade deadline comes around, should they look to trade some of their stars?
No.
None of them.
None of them.
Really?
Even if they have a bad year this year, again, I would still run it back another year with the same squad, even if this year was bad. And then at next year's deadline, if I'm still bad, then we're out.
Yeah.
But it's like, fair. It's not the Warriors, I understand that, but it's in that realm where it's like, you ride it till the wheels fall off.
Right.
Like, even after their later championship, they rode it another year or two, and now the wheels are kind of fell off. Clay isn't what he was necessarily, and Draymond can't not punch and kick and do whatever to people and have horrible Rudy Gobert takes. So I think it's the same thing with the Stros, where you're going to have to ride it out a little bit extra because of all of what they've accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's like you got older guys, though, that you could maybe shed and get rid of, right? Especially if they're struggling, a.k.a. Bregman, Verlander, these older guys. So maybe look to trade them. I know Tucker is a free agent next year as well, but he's your best player with Jordan. Like, you can't trade Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, you can't trade Kyle Tucker.
No,
Kyle Tucker's too good for too long.
You need to keep him. You still have guys like Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, these semi-younger pitchers. So maybe look to trade some of your older guys that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing at this point, if they were to be below 500 come the trade deadline. But obviously, Spinny and I are both in the boat that they will not be below 500 when they get to that point.
I don't think so.
They will likely be buyers, I would imagine, at the deadline. His second part was, should the Twins go for any of them? If so, I would say that basically just banks on if we're good. If we're good, why not? Let's be buyers. But as we know, the Twins won't be buyers at the deadline. So
you bring back the Correa Altuve stack. That'd be wild.
That would be wild.
That would be wild.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'll take them on the squad. Knowing the Twins and the history of the Twins, we will not be buyers at the deadline.
No
at
shot
all.
we're trading
especially for big names.
Yeah,
like
no
that.
way we're trading for a big contract.
Yeah, no way. Derek Johnson asks us, what should MLB do about the sticky stuff situation? So,
that is a great question.
Ronel Blanco, for those that haven't been following, Astros pitcher, actually, he might be the only one with a no-hitter so far. Either way, he was the first one with a no-hitter this season. He got suspended for having sticky stuff in his glove his previous start a couple days ago. Now, he claims you're allowed to have it on your arm and your wrist to help with sweat. Rosin you can have on your arm. Rosin is not completely banned. However, you cannot have it in your glove or on your glove hand, for that matter, which apparently he didn't know. He just claimed that it was on his arm to help with the sweat, and it dripped down into it. Now, a lot of his teammates are backing him up, saying he is like the sweatiest ass dude on their team, apparently. Like, he's like, it looks like he just ran miles in 100-degree weather every time he pitches. So, like, I feel like there's definitely something they need to do, because there's too much disconnect between the umpires and the players right now, especially when you can apparently have rosin, but it just can't be on your glove arm. Like, it's just like so many like
There's
weird
too much
things.
ambiguity.
Yes.
Way too much ambiguity with it. Also, though, I want him to get less strict. And I know that's kind of a hot take, but
I'm with you, bro. I'm totally
I do think it is contributing to injuries. I really do, because
we mentioned that.
When you have to squeeze I'm going to preface this with, I'm not an athletic trainer or a doctor, so like take my...
And we're also not pitchers.
For what it is, but we will get some pitchers on here in the future and talk about this. But when you're squeezing a small ball really tight and you're flexing all these tendons and muscles in your arm, it can't be... You would just think there's going to be more torque on it, and when everything's flexed, it's going to be tighter, and you're going to get more tears and stuff. As opposed to with the... rosin or whatever, where you can grip it a little bit lighter because it has a little bit more grip. It allows you to not be quite as flexed in those elbow spots where we've seen all the injuries.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned that on the preview. Tyler Glasnow has said it in interviews. I'm with you, actually. I know it's probably a hot take, but bring the sticky stuff back. If all pitchers are allowed to use it, then it's not unfair.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Next question from Branson. Why do you think the MLB has gone away from hitting for average and now focus on power? Do you like this strategy? As we know, all sports are now becoming analytical. Everything is focused on analytics. MLB is focused on on-base percentage now rather than batting average, which I believe is what should have been the focus from the get-go, right? You want guys on base. That's the only way you score runs if the guys are on base. So as long as they have a high on-base percentage, I don't think it really matters if their batting average is a little lower than you would like to see. And ultimately, you win by scoring more runs than an opponent. So of course you want to score runs. You want guys that can hit for power when those guys with high on-base percentages are already on base, right? So that's kind of what I think. Do I like it? I wish there was more balance. I wish there was more guys like Luis Arias who could get on base with high batting averages and stuff. Of course I do. I hate seeing people strike out 40% of their at-bats. It sucks. But it's just the analytical nature of baseball.
Pro sports is going to do what benefits winning the most. And then for like 1A and then 1B, and it might be the opposite for some organizations. Good organizations, 1A is winning, 1B is making money.
Yes.
And I think in half the organizations it's flipped, and that's why they are somewhat dysfunctional, aka Polad Nation here.
I was going to say, aka the Twins?
In Minnesota. But, man, where I lost my train of thought there for a second. What was Brandon's question? I'm sorry, Hardy's and Ardos.
Gone away from hitting for average and now focus on
yes. Sorry. It is much more boring to watch.
Right.
I don't like it from a fan perspective, but I'm not the guy that you need to get watching baseball, I guess.
Right.
They can
right.
Hitting for average, and I wouldn't be watching as much as, the avid baseball fan. I watch enough.
Don't you think viewership should increase in essence with it more focused on power? Fans should want to see more home runs.
They should.
Right?
That part of it's great, but then you also get the 3 innings in a row of 2 strikeouts an inning.
Yeah.
So I just think that's hard.
Yeah, I just wish there was a little more balance. More players that could kind of do it all, like Juan Soto. I know I just shouted out maybe the best player in all of MLB, but more guys like that can hit for power and also hit for average. That's kind of what I would hope to see. His second question, also, who do you think wins each division as of today?
Ooh.
Looking at the standings, man, I'm going to stick with the Yankees. I almost said my Yankees. Gross. Stick with the Yankees.
Yankees?
I almost said that. Isn't that crazy? I was going to... He bit Barbs. No, just because I picked them to win the division in the preview. So I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to stick with the Twins. We're 2.5 games out. That's going to go all the way down to the wire. The West is going to be tough. Mariners, Rangers, Astros. Let's go Mariners. I'm going to think they keep that. We flip to the NL. I'm going Braves, Brewers, Dodgers for them.
All right. AL for me. Baltimore's making the comeback, only 1 game back. Detroit, I'm picking 5.5
Sticking with them,
outs.
okay.
Sticking with them.
Respect.
Houston, another comeback in the AL. I think they make it happen. Atlanta's definitely catching Philly. Philly's start, though, has been unbelievable. Gotta give him credit. I'm going to pick Chicago in the Central. I like what I've seen from them, and I think Milwaukee might level up.
I believe that was your preseason tag, too.
I might have picked Cardinals looking not good. Also, though, shout out to Becca, but Cardinals not looking good. They could also make a comeback in that Houston category. Obviously not a dynasty, but been pretty consistently good, so there could be some belief there. And if you don't pick the Dodgers, you're an idiot.
You're an idiot. They win that division every single year. So,
yep.
That's simple. Last question, Spinny, from Forbrook. Do we get multiple AL Central teams in the playoffs for the first time since 2017, excluding the 18 playoff of the COVID season? No, we do not. I still am going to stick with that. I think we're going to see a lot more. You'll get an AL East team as the division winner. Obviously, you're going to get one as a wild card. You're getting 2 West teams for sure. I'm trying to think of a way we can sneak in. I don't think it's possible. I really don't.
New York and Baltimore are in, I think, given what we've seen. The winner of the Central, the winner of the West, and then probably at least one more team in the West.
Texas or Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 5.
I guess there's a shot at 7 seed.
There's a shot at 7 seed because even if both West teams make it, it's between Tampa, Boston, and the second team in the Central. So I think that could be doable potentially.
I just have worries because I feel like the Guardians might fall off at some point. They don't have Shane Bieber. I feel like that will hurt, but I guess who knows? I definitely think the Royals are going to fall off at some point, for sure. So that's why I'm a little skeptical about there being 2 teams. Yeah, right now we have 2 teams in for sure based on standings. But
right
as
now
the
we
season,
have 3 teams in, I believe.
Yeah, even
if it
3,
ends
literally
today,
3
New
teams.
York, Cleveland, Seattle. Then the next best records are Baltimore, Kansas City, the Twins.
And the Twins.
Yep.
Yeah. So, as of today, we get 3. I will not put money on that at all.
Yeah.
I think we get 1.
But it's a closer shot
It's
we've
close.
had in a couple of years.
It is close.
Like, the last couple of years.
Since 2017, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. But even like the last 2 or 3 years, we would have said no like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it hasn't even been
Yeah.
in the remote questioning. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, now let's jump to the NBA playoffs. Let's start with the series that's already said and done. That is your Celtics. Took care of business against the Cavs as expected. Little gentleman's sweep. Back-to-back series for the Celtics. Some storylines out of this series. Spinny, do you think the Cavs are going to choose Spida or Darius Garland?
I don't think there's as much of a divide there as we think there is.
So you think
I think there's potential.
You think there's still a chance that they're both back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also, though, it sounds like Jared Allen is pissing everybody off.
Yeah.
That's what more.
Cavs players upset with him for not taking the. I'm not going to try to butcher the name, but the shot that will alleviate pain.
Yeah.
Players are mad that he didn't do that so that he could play through his rib injury.
Yeah.
So a lot of the players on the team are upset with him. Report came out today that he will likely be shopped this summer.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think the too big experiment for the Cavs has proven to not work.
Because Mobley can't shoot a jumper still.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. Shout out to the Wolves. Like, you got to have shooting bigs in order to make that work in today's NBA.
Literally.
So, I think Mobley's non-development there has been, a hindrance, like you said. Yeah.
So, if you had to choose, though, Spider or Garland?
Spider.
Spider. Give him the extension, trade Garland.
Yeah.
I am with you that there is a chance we see the Cavs run it back with those 2. But if they were smart, they'd get rid of one of them. Because, in my opinion, you can't start 2 guards that are that freaking small.
Yeah, you're right.
They both get their minuses on the defensive end.
Yeah,
so you can't have both of them out there at the same time, in my opinion.
Like that, too.
Celtics side of things here, Spinny. I'm going to have to roast your C's here for a little bit.
No.
Not even... this isn't even a Celtics roast. Because this has nothing to do with them. This is... Everything I'm about to roast them on is out of their control. Okay? Is this the luckiest route a team has ever seen in either conference? Jimmy, hurt. Giannis, hurt. Embiid was hurt. Clearly not healthy in that series. Dame ended up getting hurt. Spida was hurt. Jared Allen didn't play at all in that series. The whole Knicks roster is hurt, and they potentially will get to face the young Pacers team in the Eastern Conference Finals. Either way, they're playing the Knicks team that has no one on their roster healthy.
The East just, fell apart.
That is insane.
Every single team just,
Every team had a major injury. That's no joke. Like I said, that's out of their control. They play what's in front of them, right? But that's the easiest route I can imagine.
Yeah, it's insane. And I'm going to be real for a second. I think this series has given us one thing, and that is the Celtics will not beat the Nuggets or the Wolves without Kristaps Porzingis.
Facts.
They will not.
That is confirmed.
They will not.
It irritates me because the Caps should have been able to exploit that more. But obviously it doesn't. Jared Allen missing hurts that a lot.
But yeah, Jokic, Horford can't play that whole time. And then if it is, how are you stopping the lob to Aaron Gordon on the backside?
Yeah.
There's no ability to do that. And there's no ability to go big. And then what happens when Horford gets in foul trouble inevitably a game or two? You're just really screwed. And same thing against the Wolves. But if Kristaps plays, you can exploit that pick and pop ghost screen with him that the bigs on either of those teams are really going to struggle guarding with Tatum and Brown. So Porzingis is stretching the floor, how much it opens everything up for the Celtics, as well as having to get all those bigs out on the perimeter. I think without him, they're pretty cooked.
Yeah.
Against Denver or Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. The other East series, Knicks up 3-2 on the Pacers after destroying them by 30 points in the crucial Game 5 behind. Yet again, another Jalen Brunson game. 44 points for this man. Is out here single-handedly, I shouldn't say single-handedly, but in the scoring department, single-handedly carrying this team. Josh Hart continues to get double-digit rebounds and play every second of every game. I don't understand what's going on there. And another thing, another no-show from Tyrese Haliburton, a guy who's on the Olympic roster, who is All-NBA consideration this year, and he shoots 9 freaking times in a game. That is unacceptable. He has the ball in his hands all the time. Did you watch that game? It looked like he didn't even want the ball.
No, literally, it was wild.
Nembhard had the ball more than him.
Andrew Nembhard.
5 assists for Tyrese Haliburton only. 5 assists, 13 points, 9 shot attempts. What are we talking about? To me, that's my focus of this series is the inexplicable no-shows from Tyrese Haliburton. You're supposed to be that guy. You talk shit like you're that guy. Back it up.
And also have a bad game. Shoot 5
Shoot
for
20
21.
yeah.
Fine. I'd rather have that
Literally.
than freaking nothing. I agree. Shout out to Brunson and all the Nova boys. Really carrying. It's the Nova Knicks right now. I love it.
The Nova Knicks. Back to Team USA point. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it should have just been Brunson.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving. Any of these freaking point guards over Haliburton.
Brunson's better than Haliburton right now.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Brunson gives me top 10 player vibes, which is insane to say. I've never thought I'd say that.
Jalen.
Tyrese Haliburton, the way he's playing in this playoffs,
Yeah.
like it makes me want to drop him out of my top 20 even.
Dude.
It's ridiculous. You can't disappear like this. You just can't.
We don't normally do this, but first things first, Nick Wright's club superstar, which is 12 guys max, top 12 guys.
No, you did not have Hal in there.
Jalen Brunson.
Oh, okay.
in
Yes.
For that. So
Yeah.
it's crazy the huge leap that Brunson has taken on everybody's radar across all national media.
Literally.
Insane.
Just, I don't know how he's doing it. I really don't. To the West, the Mavs have taken a 3-2 lead over the Thunder. Thank God, screw the Thunder. This was a Luka show. 30-point triple-double. What's up with Kyrie? That's the main thing I want to focus on right now. He's not shooting the freaking ball. What is he doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Kyrie's been a little off, but Kyrie carried him in their first round series compared to Luka, so I think it's just kind of been that, like, role reversal, both of them coming back towards what they actually are, you know. I think Kyrie's somewhere in between what we saw in that series and what we saw in this series, and I think Luka's the same, somewhere in between what we saw and what we've seen in the last couple from him. So I think that's a lot of what you're seeing is just leveling it back out to where they would be.
That is fair. This is crazy to even see. Isaiah Joe starts the game over Josh Giddey. What do you think about that?
Love it.
I personally think that fits their rotation way better.
Yep.
He can't shoot, and he's primarily a facilitator, right? Well, you already got guys out there that can do that.
Yeah.
Is this the end of Josh Giddey? On the Thunder, I'm saying.
Potentially, but I love Josh Giddey running the bench unit. Like from a
12 minutes played only in that game 5. 12.
Which is crazy. But I think if Josh Giddey is your sixth man or seventh man, I think that's good. I mean, he might be down to that point right now, which is insane.
It's insane to think, but it's like, because I also think about it, there are other young guys, right? You already got Shea on a big contract. You need to pay Chet. You need to pay J-Dub.
Yep.
There's your 3 guys right there.
3 guys you're paying. There's no Josh Giddey pace.
There's not. You have Isaiah Joe coming in, pure shooter, right? 22 minutes played. Cason Wallace, 27.
Cason Wallace has outplayed Josh Giddey in the series too.
That dude can actually defend like crazy. So, who do you got? Both those 2 series, Knicks Pacers and Mavs Thunder. Who's closing it out? Either of them making a comeback or no?
The Knicks in 7.
Okay, so Pacers getting it done tonight.
Yeah, Knicks win on Sunday at 2:30, and then I'm gonna take the Mavs in Game 6.
Yep.
You're gonna put away tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. They're gonna put away tomorrow night, I think.
On their home court. I think I'm with you.
Luka game.
Another Luka game, but I think it is obvious that he's dealing with injuries right now too.
Yeah.
because we have seen some performances so bad that it's like, is someone else in Luka's body?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like we've never even seen him do that bad in the playoffs ever. So he's clearly hurt.
And every year before this, when he's averaging, 30, 10, and 10 on
That's what I'm saying.
60% shooting against Paul George and Kawhi Leonard for 3 playoff series in a row. It's like, there's got to be something when you're seeing this.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump to the Wolves. Wolves Nuggets. We forced the game 7. Come on. Let's run it all back. Since we've been on the pod, we were up 2-0.
Yeah.
Proceeded to lose 3 straight games. Game 3, expected, right?
Yep.
No defending champ is going to go down 3-0 because then the series is actually over. That was a must-win for them.
And then 1,000 fouls by the Wolves.
And yes, we were terrible in that game. Got absolutely obliterated. Game 4 was the game we choked.
Yeah.
In so many ways. Here are some ways. We allowed the Nuggets to score 8 points in the final 20 seconds of the first half. They only had a 7-point lead. They go into halftime up 15 instead. Inexcusable. Aaron Gordon, 11 of 12 shooting. I freaking guess. I don't even know what to say about that.
Like 27, 6, and 5 on 11 for 12.
27, 7, and 6 on 11 for 12. Ridiculous stuff.
Aaron Gordon's Kobe Bryant today.
I just don't understand. This was the Anthony Edwards game. The only guy to show up on the Wolves. 44 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Good field goal percentage. Get this, though. His plus minus was plus 5. For those that don't know what that means, it means the Wolves outscored the Nuggets by 5 points with Anthony Edwards on the floor. How many minutes do you think he played, Spinny?
He played...
Out of 48.
45 and 13 seconds.
Close. 45 and 20 seconds. Which means in the 2 minutes and 40 seconds, he was not on the floor. We had a plus minus of minus 13. And not even 3 full minutes. We were outscored by 13 points. That's essentially why we lost the freaking game.
Yeah.
I was
asking on HE's show for Ant to get the LeBron treatment with minutes. So Literally. One last thing, because I need to roast him. Get Slow-Mo off the freaking court. I can't stand this man. He should never play in the NBA ever again. This dude sucks. In game 4, 6 minutes played, minus 18. How do we get outscored by 18 points in 6 minutes? That doesn't even make sense. Slow-Mo's complete negative out there. If I see him on the court again in game 7, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. That's all I got to say. Game 5, Jokic, masterclass. That was a game where he had 40 points, 13 assists. That was like... Only Draymond could have stopped it,
Yeah, apparently Draymond could have stopped that. Literally one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life. Ant no-show in that game, which leads us to game 6.
Cat was a good performance in that game.
He was. Cat was actually basically the only guy that showed up.
Yeah.
Game 6, we absolutely destroyed him. 45-point win for us.
50 balled them, too.
We were up 50 at one point in the semifinals of the Western Conference.
Against the
ridiculous. Defending champs. Second biggest victory by a team facing elimination in NBA history.
You know what number 1 is?
It involved the Celtics.
Nope.
What was it? I should know this.
It involved another Minnesota team. The Minneapolis Lakers.
The Lakers.
The other comeback. The bigger one.
Okay. So let's talk about Game 7 then.
Or bigger blowout.
Big blowout, yes. Game 7, Spinny. Obviously in Denver. What do we have to do to win? Let's start offensively. Offensively, what do we need to do?
I mean, Jaden McDaniels needs to make threes like he did in game.
He needs to make his open jumpers.
100%. Cat continuing the defense on Nikola Jokic.
Incredible performance.
I love the putting Rudy back on Aaron Gordon. Now, what we need to figure out is when Aaron Gordon and Jokic take the ball up. That's a ton of where they had success. Games 3, 4, and 5. Jokic was the primary ball handler, and Aaron Gordon was the second highest percentage of bringing the ball across half court. So that has been something that I think we have to figure out how to play better against. So shout out the Nuggets for changing that up. And then just Ant being solid.
Yes.
Ant can't have a game 5 because we won't win.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't need 40
Or game
points
4.
every night.
Sorry. right?
Yeah, game 5.
Game 5. I was right.
Game 4 was the ant game.
Yeah.
Because, like, you think about game 5, right? Jokic had 40 points and only had 18.
Yeah.
Your best player can't get outscored by the other team's best player by 22 points. You're never going to win in the NBA.
Especially with teams as evenly matched as we are.
And so he needs to be better. I like the point you made on the Al Travis show this week about getting Ant more looks in anything other than the pick and roll.
Yeah. They're just doubling him every single time.
Which we did in Game 6. We did in Game 6. We got him more looks off of pin downs, flares, things like that, and allowed him to attack off of those looks instead. And that worked way better for us.
Yeah.
So I think offensively, that's what you need to focus on. Obviously, Cat and Ant, as we know, it's the NBA. It's Game 7. Your stars have to arrive.
Yeah, I mean, need role player performance. Like, our role player performances, Nah, Conley, and Jaden were great in Game.
Those guys need to make their open shots because Brown and Holiday and Gordon are apparently making threes when they suck at threes. So they need to make
Conley
their shots.
Got hot enough in the second quarter that he was taking heat checks.
He was taking.
He got a heat check from Mike Conley. It was awesome.
He's like, I'm hucking this right now.
Love it.
That being said, are we winning Game 7?
Nope.
Sticking with Nuggets in 7, huh? Like you initially predicted? Yeah. Classic. Never roots for his own freaking team. What are we talking about?
I root for my team more than anyone. I didn't pick my team because I've seen what Jokic can do to us.
Not even us, to every single person.
Every person alive except Draymond Green.
Apparently.
Jokic can do.
Yeah, apparently. Fucking Draymond, get the hell out of here. I guess let's talk about that point actually for a little bit here. Rudy was getting absolutely reamed after this Jokic masterclass in Game 5, right? He had, think about 2K for a little bit, right? You get your shot, your percentage contested, right? Yeah. Rudy was up there in the red in like 80 to 100% contested. And
Jokic just be green beating it anyway.
On every single one, and Jokic is green lighting it every single time. It doesn't matter. The only issue I had in that game was the ground Rudy would give up. Yeah. He would start backing him down like 15 feet away, and he would allow him to back him down all the way to the rim. Cat holds his ground better.
Yes. So that's the difference, is because if Jokic gets that deep, you're screwed.
You're done.
You got no
His
chance.
touches.
It's over.
Absurd.
It's over. We saw that and one that he almost made yesterday that was like off the freaking top most part of the rim I've ever seen, or the backboard I've ever seen.
Like, what are we talking about?
Wild.
Any other thoughts? Otherwise, I believe you have a Q&A.
I have
finish off the Sean Conway episode.
Sean Conway
episode 102.
All right, Q&A. We got two things for you. We're first going to start. I know you probably don't know all the details of this, but if you saw the Harrison Butker crazy commencement speech, just going to read one line from it I thought was very over the top. And I quote, "I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would..."
Diabolical.
Yeah, diabolical. Like we're on Dexter's Laboratory here. "But I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world." Wow. Lots of other bad things in that speech as well. Definitely a misogynistic situation, as well as other things. But my question for you is it fair that Harrison Butker might lose his job due to this speech?
Some people might not like this opinion, but it is not fair whatsoever. While I do not agree with anything he said, that doesn't mean he should lose his job over it, in my opinion. What happened to freedom of speech? That is a right in this country, is it not?
There is freedom to be an idiot.
Exactly. Now, he wasn't... It was just a commencement speech, right? I'm trying to think of it like... It's not like he was on the news, broadcasted in front of millions of people, or like... It wasn't as public as it could have been. I just don't... Help me out here with your thoughts, because I just don't see how he could lose his job over this. I just really don't.
Here's my thought. I thought about me personally. So I'm this lowly D3 assistant, nowhere near the status of Harrison Bucker. But if I said this at a commencement speech, I would probably get fired. And I texted my boss this today and just kind of ask him the hypothetical. And his response I thought was pretty good. He's like, I don't know if I would necessarily fire you, but I would definitely not renew your contract. He's like, so, in this setting, you can't really hire and fire people the same way without consequences. He's like, personally, I view it as an employee expects things from their employer, paying them on time, having time off, all those things. The employer can expect things from the employee. And he's like, in my opinion, that would violate what our mission statement of our athletic department is. He's like, so
that's a good point.
I don't know if that gives me grounds to fire you, but it definitely would be a non-contract renewal situation.
So yeah, I guess it is going to come down to the Chiefs and their organization and the values they have and the values they hold their players to. That is definitely what it'll come down to. Should he never kick in the NFL again? That is what I just am against. I think freedom of speech is a thing. Now, maybe he gets, fired, gets cut from the Chiefs and isn't their kicker anymore. But I think he should at least have another chance, right? Like, he's just voicing his opinion. He could have said it in a way better way. He didn't need to just single out women in that statement. That statement would have been better if he... Yes. If he included men in that statement, then no one would even be talking about this, probably.
Well, and that's where the prejudice side comes in.
Right, exactly.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I think that's telling. I also think it's telling that none of his teammates have come to defend him. And even Patrick Mahomes.
That is a great
Patrick Mahomes on the Pat McAfee podcast was kind of like, I didn't really want to say anything. And he's like, I don't really agree with it, but he also said, he's like, me and Harrison don't talk. At all. Right. It's like we don't talk.
They're professionals. You're not just like any other job. You're not going to be friends, buddies with everybody there.
Yeah.
So
I think, but I do think it's telling that none of his teammates have come to.
All right, Spinny's convinced me. Cut this, man. Get him the hell out of here, man. That's ridiculous.
I'm also not saying that you cut him, but I do think that if he is cut, it's reasonable. I don't think it's insane.
Right, and going back to the values thing, especially if he violated the values and standards that the Chiefs hold their players to, then he actually, deserves to lose his job. So,
all right, second Q&A from the George Sletta. This is a wild one.
So
we got heated about this. We got very heated. So, first part of it, is Darius Garland in the top 10% of shooters in the NBA? Yes or no?
Let's say roughly 400 players in the NBA. 10% means he's got to be a top 40 shooter. I would, my initial reaction, just strictly based on watching him, would say no. He's not in the top 10%.
And I think, like you said, like you mentioned when we first talked about this a little bit, 37% three-point percentage shooter on this year, which is 94th in the NBA. And I know he does take hard off the dribble shots, but you got to give him a little bit of
and again, 37% is a great percentage to have.
Yeah.
It's just across the entire NBA, it's not that good. Now 94th, I'm still taking him over probably 40 of those guys. So he's probably closer to 50.
Yeah.
So he is close.
He is getting there. I do think it's an argument. Okay, question 2. Are all good shooters good? Oh, wow. Ooh, I did a terrible wording of this question. Okay. If you're a good shooter, are you good at shooting in every way? The argument came for that. George presented that if you're a good pull-up off the dribble shooter, you're automatically good catch and shoot because catch and shoot is easier. And to me, I said that catch and shoot and off the dribble shooting are different things, and you can be really good at one and not as good at the other completely, no matter how good of a player you are.
As a basketball coach, I've seen plenty of good shooters in my life. I was watching the NBA and college basketball. There's even more that I've seen. Good shooters come in many forms. Good. You can be a good clutch shooter, and when it matters most. There's different pressures on you. You could simply be a good free throw shooter, mid-range shooter. off the dribble, catch and shoot, right? There's so many different forms. The best shooters excel in every single area, right? I would say it's not every good pull-up shooter is going to be able to easily be good at catch and shoot. Now, some good pull-up off the dribble shooters are great at catch and shoot too. So it's not the case for everybody. Steph Curry, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not the case for everybody, but I would say that that's not a direct correlation for sure. Like, I mean, think of guys like Luka and Kyrie. Those are the first like two obvious names that come off to me. They play all this heliocentric basketball. James Harden back in the day, right? Those guys got their rhythm from dribbling the ball. They have the ball in their hands all the time. Coming up and shooting off the dribble, that is a different motion completely than catching the ball and going up from there. Those are two different motions at all. So some players like Luka and Kyrie, like I said, get their rhythm and everything from picking it up off the dribble, and others, Kyle Korver is like obviously a prime example of catch and shoot. They'll just stand, the seconds in their hands, they're going up. Klay Thompson, guys like that, they're elite at that type of motion. So to me, they're two different things. They could correlate, but not necessarily.
Man, I like being right. All right, Hardest and Hardos.
That was your opinion. Okay.
That was. Thank you for listening in. This was episode 102.
The Sean Conway episode.
The Sean Conway episode.
Ultra Triathlon. Come on.
Hug your friends and family, and we hope you have a good night.
Wait, do I get to do this one for once?
Oh, are you going to get it? Oh, come on. No, tough.